Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
After the FDA approved Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for children ages 12 to 15, some Pennsylvania counties have already begun administering the shots. Kelly Rule has the story.
I just rolled up my sleeve, got it, and now we're done.
For 14-year-old Ali Neva, it's a chance to get back to school in person before summer.
I found out that it was walk-up, so we immediately came over.
The clinic at the King of Prussia Mall and all Montgomery County-run clinics opened up Pfizer appointments and allowed walk-ins for kids 12 through 15, at least a day earlier than other counties who are still awaiting the green light from the CDC and State Department of Health.
There's been so much data that it's been perfectly safe for all the other millions of people who have gotten it. We felt very confident.
A spokesperson for the county says the FDA's approval was enough to start vaccinating kids, and their goal remains to continue to get as many shots in arms as quickly and efficiently as possible. Bucks County confirms they too started vaccinating ages 12 through 15 at county-run clinics Tuesday. Delaware and Chester County leaders are working to open up certain clinics for the shots, but only once they get approval from the state and CDC. And in New Jersey, Camden County has 3,500 Pfizer doses ready to go at their vaccination center. Parents and kids who already took the leap say it was worth it.
Did it hurt?
No, it didn't hurt.
You know, they've kind of lost like the past year, so it's nice.
A major decision in the global fight against COVID-19. The U.S. says it would support easing patent restrictions on COVID-19 vaccines. Britt Conway explains why and when that could happen.
For more than a year now, the world has been fighting COVID-19.
In some parts of the world, we've really improved.
I'm going to come back next week as well.
In other parts of the world, the virus is spreading rapidly.
The World Health Organization says there have been more global cases in the last 2 weeks than the first 6 months of the pandemic. And yet, leaders from the WHO remain hopeful.
We really have a shot at controlling COVID.
But part of that means shots in arms. Easier said than done, depending on the country where you live. Now, the U.S. says it will support a petition easing patent rules on COVID-19 vaccines.
What India and South Africa have asked for is a temporary waiver to address the pandemic.
There's been pushback from U.S. drug makers and pleas to push ahead from global advocacy groups. One official says the White House met with more than 24 stakeholders before making its decision.
It was a statement that put people over patents. It was about leading in the world and helping producing what the world needed at a time of unprecedented crisis.
It's not a done deal, though. Members of the World Trade Organization have to unanimously agree, and that could take months. But health experts say it's a step in the right direction.
If we help work and collaborate with countries around the world, I do believe we will turn this pandemic around.
No one is safe until everyone is safe.
The end game is the equitable distribution of vaccines.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
As the country continues to reopen, many of the nation's kids are still learning remotely. Educators nationwide say many students are struggling to cope, and that's causing worries that the pandemic could lead to record-high dropout rates. Marianne Rafferty reports.
The approval of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine for kids as young as 12 is generating hope, as the effects of the pandemic are still taking a heavy toll on many, especially students.
I never thought that a 6-year-old could get depressed, and my kid did. And his first experience with school as a kindergarten was remote, and that was very, very hard for him.
With more adolescents eligible to get the shots, educators hope this will help get students back into the classroom, as officials warn the pandemic could be contributing to a rise in children dropping out of school. According to Dr. Sandy Addis, chairman of the National Dropout Prevention Center, the pandemic has given many students an excuse not to continue their education. Academic professionals agree.
When you teach face-to-face in a classroom, that's a lot different than teaching virtually.
Although concrete data isn't available yet on just how many students have dropped out of school since last March, more than a year into the pandemic, and districts across the country say kids are at risk as they report more F's on report cards and fewer students showing up to class.
I think it has been due to the shift to virtual learning.
As for students still learning online, some say they're struggling just to hold on.
all the homework assignments just stacking on top of each other, and I'm trying the best I can to just try to prioritize everything.
Meanwhile, younger kids may not have to wait too long to qualify for the vaccine, as Pfizer and Moderna have already began studies on kids 6 months to 11 years old. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
A food distribution program designed to help families during the pandemic is now coming to an end. The Farmers to Families Food Box program delivered nearly 167 million boxes of fresh food to families in need. That food came from farmers who were looking for ways to sell their milk and crops when supply chain disruptions forced them to dump much of what they produced. That program spent about $5 billion over the past year. Gas stations across the Southeast are running out of fuel. As of today, the app Gas Buddy reported that nearly 1,800 gas stations were out in 7 southeastern states. The run on fuel began after a ransomware attack Friday shut down the Colonial Pipeline. The company said Monday it hopes to be substantially operational by the end of the week, but as of Tuesday, most of the pipeline remained offline. Officials are pleading with Americans not to panic buy and hoard fuel because overconsumption will only make the situation worse. And law enforcement agencies are urging the public to report any cases of price gouging. The man suspected of opening fire and injuring 3 people in New York City's Times Square has been arrested. Investigators say the suspect, identified as 31-year-old Farrakhan Muhammad, was taken into custody by U.S. Marshals in Florida this morning. Police allege Muhammad opened fire in Times Square over the weekend, injuring a 4-year-old girl as well as 2 adult women, one from Rhode Island and the other from New Jersey. All 3 victims suffered non-life-threatening injuries. A California officer was killed and another wounded as they served a search warrant in San Luis Obispo Monday. As Dave Alley reports, authorities have now released the name of that fallen officer.
Detective Luca Benedetti, 37 years old, tragically died at the scene.
San Luis Obispo police are mourning one of their own, killed while serving a search warrant early Monday night.
As the officers approached the apartment, they provided knock and notice, identifying themselves as law enforcement.
After no answer, a group of 6 officers forced their way in.
At which point, suspect Edward Zamora Giron was lying in wait and began to fire shots,
hitting and killing Benedetti while wounding Detective Steve Orozco. He was taken to a hospital and released later in the night. Giron was found dead with a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
He did have a criminal history, however, not of violence, of mainly alcohol, drug, and property offenses, and he had no registered firearms to him.
The shooting has sent shockwaves throughout the city and comes the same week incoming Police Chief Rick Scott takes over the department. His first day was scheduled to be this Thursday.
We will need to help one another through the shock and sadness and the immeasurable grief that we are going through at this time.
An outpouring of support is rolling in, including flowers, cards, signs, flags, and other gestures.
As an organization and as a community, we are here for them, just as they are here for us every day, 24/7. I ask you to join me in offering your support to members of our police department during this difficult time.
House Republicans have voted to remove Representative Liz Cheney from a key leadership position. The Congresswoman has come under sharp criticism from her colleagues following her vote to impeach President Trump and her continued criticism of him. Griff Jenkins has more from Washington.
Congresswoman Liz Cheney ousted from her position as conference chair. Cheney became a vocal critic of former President Trump after voting to impeach him for his role in the January 6th riot at the Capitol.
I will do everything I can to ensure that the former president never again gets anywhere near the Oval Office.
In a speech on the House floor Tuesday night, Cheney said millions of Americans have been misled by the former president and he risks inciting more violence. Republican leaders remain adamant their opposition to Cheney is not about her vote to impeach. They argue her ongoing public criticism of former President Trump is hurting their message to voters ahead of the 2022 midterm elections, and one of the roles of a conference chair should be to unite the party.
You want our party spokesperson to be in tune with more than a single-digit percentage of the party. 90-some% of the party disagree with Congresswoman Cheney. There needs to be a change.
In a statement, President Trump reacted, quote, "Liz Cheney is a bitter, horrible human being. She has no personality or anything good having to do with politics or our country." Democrats have watched the back and forth closely, and they say the vote to remove her punishes Cheney for telling the truth.
Liz Cheney spoke truth to power, and now they're firing her.
President Trump and a handful of Republicans have endorsed New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to serve as Cheney's replacement. In Washington, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, with an eye toward herd immunity, top health officials are encouraging parents of 12 to 15-year-olds to get their kids vaccinated.
I have so many families who are already asking, Dr. Edith, where do we go? When can we get this?
Why some believe this could be an important turning point in the pandemic.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. It's going to be another cold start to the day tomorrow. We do have a frost advisory for all of our hometowns from Steuben to Chemung County and northward is to Schuyler County, and also the Pennsylvania counties are under the advisory as well. This will expire at 8 o'clock in the morning. Some of us will be warm enough where I don't think we'll see some frost, but there could be some patchy frost across our area. So I know a lot of you have already started to garden, and so you definitely want to cover up your plants, because with temperatures in the 30s, that could damage some of these tender plants. So for tonight, we are expecting temperatures to be in the 40s for the most part, but then by 3 o'clock we drop down into the upper 30s, and we'll stay in the 30s through the early morning hours. But today, temperatures were a lot warmer than they were yesterday, talking about 5 to 10 degrees warmer for most of us, about 9 degrees warmer this afternoon in Elmira than yesterday. We are going to continue our warming trend through the end of the week. High pressure builds in, and it will help to calm those winds down. It was a little bit breezy off and on during the day, but for tomorrow it will be mild. I think it's going to be just an absolutely gorgeous day with temperatures in just about average or just a little bit below average for this time of year. So here's a look at your forecast. Again, if you are going to be doing some yard work, it's going to be cold in the morning. By 7 o'clock in the morning, expect partly cloudy skies with readings around 45, 59 at 10 o'clock, and we should be in the mid-60s in the afternoon before dropping down to around 60 degrees at 6 o'clock. Over the weekend, we are expecting dry conditions to prevail. There is the possibility of an isolated shower or two late Friday and also late on Saturday. But I think by Sunday, we continue to dry out. It will be relatively mild, but then we have another storm system that will come in from the west, and so better chances of rain as we head into your Monday and Tuesday. There could be a few thunderstorms that pop up as well. So here's a look at your forecast tonight. It will be cold, dropping down to around 37 degrees in Elmira, 38 degrees in Corning, and also in Bath, around 40 degrees in Watkins Glen. Your forecast for tomorrow calls for temperatures that will be warmer than today. Mid-60s could be possible. 64 in Corning, 61 in Bath, 65 degrees in Watkins Glen, Mansfield around 62 degrees with partly sunny skies. Then clouds start to take over again by the end of the week. There could be a few isolated showers in the afternoon on Friday as well as on Saturday, but it is going to be warmer with highs in the upper 60s. We are going to climb up close to around 70 degrees on a Sunday, but another storm system comes in on Monday and Tuesday, leaving us with highs topping out in the upper 60s.
With an eye toward herd immunity, top U.S. health officials are encouraging parents of 12 to 15-year-olds to get their kids vaccinated now that the Pfizer vaccine has been granted emergency use authorization for that age group. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on why some believe this could be a turning point in the pandemic.
After the Pfizer vaccine got the green light for those as young as 12, pharmacies and pediatricians across the U.S. are ready to put shots in arms.
I have so many families who are already asking, Dr. Edith, where do we go? When can we get this?
We're not really dealing with hesitancy as much as we are dealing with how to meet demand.
Still, in a recent poll, only 30% of parents with at least one child ages 12 to 15 say they'll vaccinate right away.
I recognize that some parents want to sort of see how it goes first, but I am encouraging all parents to get their children vaccinated. Some parents won't want to be first, but I'm also encouraging children to ask for the vaccine.
The U.S. has been ramping up efforts to vaccinate Americans to get ahead of spreading variants and with an eye toward achieving herd immunity. The expanded authorization means 85% of the U.S. population is now eligible to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. Some view this as a potential turning point in the pandemic.
With this vaccine, we can move in a different direction and really get on the other side of this.
Pfizer expects to submit for emergency use authorization for its vaccine for children ages 2 to 11 in September. Its trials for children ages 6 months to 11 years old is still ongoing. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A large Texas school district is pushing back against state lawmakers' efforts to ban critical race theory in schools. Steve Pickett reports.
We will remove systemic racism within the halls, playgrounds, classrooms.
That presentation provided less than a year ago by the superintendent of Richardson Schools.
But actual events with George Floyd.
It reflected a growing call from a variety of North Texas school systems to invest in racial equity, including the coursework provided to students.
We really are not trying to indoctrinate our students in any specific belief.
In Dallas ISD, a formal pushback against state lawmakers who are opposing classroom efforts that address history, government, and other topics through a prism of race and diversity. A proposed state bill has been labeled as the effort to stop critical race theory from Texas classrooms and Texas students. History or social study teachers, for example, could not teach that an individual is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive. Dallas ISD says stopping their equity work inside classrooms simply hurts students.
We offer courses like Mexican American history or African American history that look at the historical contributions of the Mexican American people or African American people. This legislation could prohibit us, for example, from being able to do that. We know that our students learn best when they can see themselves in the things that they study, that it is very motivational to be able to do that, and we want to be able to continue.
In Massachusetts, a German short-haired pointer is now back with his owner after he says the dog was stolen out of his car. Now you have to see what happens when a news crew spots the suspect out walking the dog. Juliana Matza reports.
Oh my God. That's me motioning to my photographer John to start rolling when I realized we had spotted the dog reported stolen in Cambridge and the man seen in surveillance video accused of taking him. We start asking the man a few questions and he admits to taking the animal.
He was just barking in the car and I walked past the car and I realized I thought it was supposed to be dog walking. It wasn't a kidnapping, it was just a simple mistake.
A simple mistake, he said, but police say 24 hours had gone by since Titus was taken and the suspect never called them nor the owner, whose phone number is on the dog tag.
You didn't think to call the number on the tag?
I did, but then I tried using one phone, the phone was broken, and I just...
That's when we called Cambridge Police.
Hey dispatcher, this is Juliana over at 7 News. I actually have the dog Titus and the man who said it was an accident that he took the dog with me right now.
Within a matter of 2 minutes, officers arrived, as did Titus' owner.
When they said that they had him.
24 hours after being stolen from Greg's car in Cambridge, Titus is okay and back home with his dog dad. An emotional reunion, and one we were grateful to be there for.
I'm just glad that the person came back, and I'm glad that you guys were there. Titus, say thank you.
We're so happy that you're home.
The suspect, now identified as 29-year-old Kyle Garapi of Boston, was taken into custody. He's charged with larceny and breaking and entering into a motor vehicle with intent to commit a felony. Arrested by Cambridge police in the same location Titus was stolen.
If anyone ever sees this, like who questions the value of media, social media, broadcast media, this proves it. This is the way it was supposed to happen. So thank you.
First it was ketchup, and now it's Chick-fil-A sauce. The chicken fast food chain says they are experiencing a shortage on sauces. Right now, customers will only be given one dipping sauce cup per item. The company says it's having supply issues, but is working to fix the problem as quickly as possible. Target is launching its own line of plant-based foods. The retailer announced a new collection under its Good and Gather brand. This assortment features more than 30 meat and dairy alternatives. They include vegan spreads, plant-based dips, and imitation meat and chicken products with items priced under $8. Target says the new food will gradually roll out on its website and in stores through the fall. NASA and other agencies have released some stunning new photos of the planet Jupiter using different types of light. And that is shedding some new light on the mysteries of that planet's atmosphere. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
3 newly released looks at Jupiter in a whole new light may make you do a triple take. This is called multi-wavelength astronomy. 2 different telescopes captured Jupiter at the same time in visible, infrared, and ultraviolet light. The multiple views can help uncover otherwise invisible aspects and mysterious features. Combined, the images give astronomers a greater understanding of the planet's atmosphere, and they plan to compare this data with observations taken by the Juno mission, which has been orbiting the planet since 2016. Folks looking for an out-of-this-world view of Manhattan will soon be able to take a ride in the sky on an all-glass elevator. The observation deck of 1 Vanderbilt, opening in October, will offer dizzying views of the Big Apple at nearly 1,100 feet, courtesy of crystal-clear decks that jut out from the tower's side. But the truly fearless can go even higher, riding a transparent elevator to more than 1,200 feet for a true eagle-eye view. Finally, back on Earth, an art teacher is inspiring young students by using TikTok to showcase his superhero side. New Jersey teacher Tim Carr said virtual attendance was down among students during the pandemic, so this comic book aficionado started donning costumes and making elaborate videos. The catch is, the students can only see his newest vid in class. His heroic efforts paid off. Virtual and in-person attendance is now at an all-time high. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. You can find just about anything your heart desires on Amazon. And for 4-year-old Noah Bryant, his heart desired popsicles. More than 900 of them, in fact. The little boy managed to place an order for nearly $3,000 worth of SpongeBob SquarePants-themed frozen treats. And while Noah is all smiles about his purchase, his mom, Jennifer, was not. Those popsicles were non-refundable, which left the single mom stuck with quite the bill. So, a family friend stepped in to help by starting a GoFundMe campaign to help cover Noah's splurge. It worked, racking up nearly $6 grand in donations. Noah's mom says those extra funds will help with his schooling, since he needs special education due to autism. And as for Noah, it seems his summer snacks are all set. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.